It's a great question because Iran, despite having its contest against America under both Republican and Democratic presidents, has had a somewhat clear policy since the U.S. left the nuclear deal in 2018. You could say during the first year, 2018 to 2019, it had a policy of what you could call strategic patience, where it thought, like many analysts in Washington thought, and some European and Asian banks and businesses thought, that Washington's unilateral sanctions could not create the same kind of macroeconomic pain that multilaterally had been built up a decade prior. Once they saw they were wrong, and within 1 year's time, or just over 1 year's time, the U.S. could recreate it and recreate it at such speed, the Iranians moved from a policy of strategic patience to what I like to call graduated escalation. Graduated escalation had two parts. It was pretty significant in the region. If you remember the summer of 2019, there were multiple flashpoints per conflict between the U.S. and Iran in the Persian Gulf and the maritime domain, a resumption of rocket attacks against positions in Iraq, and then gradually, very publicly unwinding the nuclear deal, talking about how its actions were reversible. But really, with the election of Joe Biden in November 2020, U.S. domestic politics being on full display at the end of 2020, the change in administration, the U.S. was shifting from a policy of maximum pressure to what you could call maximum deference under the Biden administration, or under the incoming Biden administration. And so despite the softer line by the Biden team, Iran actually ramped up its nuclear program and its regional escalation. And it went from what we like to call graduated escalation to overt or gross or significant escalation. And since then, it's done things like enrich uranium to 20% purity, something it had suspended previously, begin enriching uranium to 60% purity, a historical first, developing uranium metal, which has weapons applications and the regime has no immediate nuclear need for, and really seriously phase in advanced centrifuges, and really seriously begin to impede and hamper the scope and the axis of the International Atomic Energy Agency inside Iran. And given all this nuclear history, that's why many have their eyes on November 29th as a way to try to put Iran's nuclear program back in the box.